Some of you may have heard, but the latest in the Miguna saga is that a few hours ago he landed in Toronto, Canada. What I find most interesting about this latest development is that it comes at a time shortly after a number of other developments concerning the Miguna issue, mostly in the media and on social media. The key development I'm talking about has been the major concern by many that Miguna's priorities right now is seeking very specialized medical attention and in fact very intensive medical attention. The main reason being that it is still not clear what Miguna was injected with. And even more worrying was the nature and manner in which he was injected. Now, we covered that very extensively on this channel, but this was also pointed out in other sources at other places, on social media, other websites, other YouTube channels, and so on and so forth. Indeed, even a major news channel in Kenya, and I believe it's the KTN, expressed concern about Miguna's health condition. To make matters worse, Miguna himself told us that somebody tried to break into his hotel room or tried to gain entry into his hotel room using an adjacent door, not the main door. And so it became extremely clear that Miguna's life was in grave danger. Yeah? If not from some slow-acting agents that he might have been injected with in Nairobi, then it would come from these people trying to gain access mysteriously into his room in Dubai. And so a lot of his supporters right now, all over the world, must be delighted at this latest development. It is safe to speculate that this danger in which Miguna was in became apparent and clear to Miguna himself and also to those close to him and also his lawyers. It is instructive that the last post on Miguna's page was an item concerning his meeting with a high-powered official from the United Arab Emirates government, a Sheikh Khalid, who was taking him for proper toxicological examination, proper medical attention. The next thing that happened is that Miguna missed a scheduled live interview with the NTV media house in Nairobi. Something which he had already advertised to his followers, to his fans, to his supporters. He apologized and gave the excuse that it was due to unavoidable circumstances. It is very difficult not to link the visit from Sheikh Khaled and then the decision by Miguna to fly to Canada. It's very difficult not to link those events with the concern, very serious concern for Miguna's health. For starters, assuming that something harmful was injected into Miguna in Nairobi, the authorities in the United Arab Emirates, specifically in Dubai, would not have wanted to be mixed up with the worsening health of Miguna. It's really very simple. If somebody took refuge in your house and he has been injected with something from where he has come from, and anything could happen to him, obviously you would not want to get mixed up with that person. Supposing he dies in your house, you would have to be involved in the police matter. That is a very highly likely reason why the Dubai authorities changed their mind so quickly over the Miguna issue. What do I mean they changed their mind? What was their previous position? Their previous position, communicated through the Emirates airline, was that they were prepared to fly Miguna out of Dubai to anywhere else in the world but Kenya. Remember that if somebody who is undocumented lands in a country, the responsibility of the fate of that person is not with the airline, but with the authorities of the country where they've landed. And so, it would not have been possible for the Emirates airline to make a decision to accept to fly Miguna anywhere in the world out of Dubai, except Kenya. It was not possible for them to make that decision without authority from the government of the United Arab Emirates. Indeed, we can safely assume that was the position of the authorities in the United Arab Emirates. The concerns raised about Miguna's health on this channel and elsewhere must have really worried the Dubai authorities. Hence, something had to be done. Hence, the visit by Sheikh Khalid. You can be sure that the United Arab Emirates authorities were very concerned about Miguna getting out of their country safe and sound. Yeah? Hence, the very heavy police security that accompanied Miguna as he boarded the Air Canada flight to Toronto, which seems to corroborate what I have just told you. Now, it is important to note that the United Arab Emirates and indeed the Emirates airline are not out of the woods yet. Somebody has to explain how the airline carried an unconscious passenger on an international flight from Nairobi to Dubai. Somebody has to explain how and why that happened. Because not only is it against regulations, it's criminal. Now, the only person who can make that go away, of course, is Miguna himself. However, unless he changes his position, we know that Miguna himself has promised to sue the airline and to sue them for forcefully taking him away from Kenya and flying him to Dubai against his will. Now, government agents, through people like the 36 bloggers, have been trying very hard to spin this Miguna tale into something else. And they have not wasted any time with this latest development. Because now what we are getting, in fact appearing in very prominent local dailies in Kenya, is the question, where did Miguna's passport suddenly magically appear from? Because he flew out of Dubai using his Canadian passport. Now, those who take in this channel regularly, of course, know what happened to Miguna's Canadian passport. Yeah, we reported that very early when Miguna landed in Kenya. It was passed on to one of his trusted aides or NRM troops, yeah, who hid it, yeah, who kept it safe for him. Why? Because he did not want his Canadian passport to land in the hands of the authorities in Nairobi. Now, if you've had authorities take away your passport and destroy it by punching holes into it, would you trust them with any other passport? Let's be serious. Would you? Anyway, my point is that the propaganda peddlers are trying to shift all the focus on the passport, on his Canadian passport. They're trying to focus attention on why did it suddenly make an appearance when he needed to fly out of Dubai to Canada. Well, the most likely thing that happened is that it was sent by courier to Dubai, most probably by his lawyers, yeah, or his close aides. But his Canadian passport is not an issue, it's a non-issue, it's completely irrelevant. As a lot of other very relevant issues that have been raised by these propaganda peddlers. It is missing the whole point, deliberately so. And if it's not obvious to you, let me spell it out to you. Now, for a minute, let's assume that Miguna is not a Kenyan. He was born in Canada. He's a Canadian. He has got no birthright in Kenya. Yeah? Or even let's assume that he's an immigrant from a faraway land who landed in Kenya. Yeah? Unknown in Kenya, never before seen in Kenya, etc., etc. Even then, it would have still been very wrong to treat him the way he was treated. Indeed, it would have been criminal to have treated him the way he was treated, assuming that this was a complete foreigner. Lunga dance of dragging him all over the place, sedating him and putting him on an airline. These things are criminal, even for an immigrant, an illegal immigrant who has landed in the country illegally and has got absolutely no legal status in Kenya. It would have been illegal to do that. It would have been downright criminal to treat any human being the way Miguna was treated. Now it becomes even more horrifying when you realize that actually Miguna is Kenyan born. He has got legal rights in Kenya. Not only that, he was coming back in obedience to a court order issued by a competent legal court of the Republic of Kenya. And then you go and start talking about his Canadian passport. You start saying, oh, you should have presented on entering the country. Oh, Miguna's character is not good. Oh, he has done this in the past. Get out of here. That is absolutely absurd. Yeah, it's completely crazy to take that approach. My prayer, and I believe this is a prayer of the vast majority of Kenyans, is that Miguna's health is fine. Yeah, that no poisonous substances were injected into him in Nairobi, and if they were, that there's a way of medically reversing that so that he's back to being fit as a fiddle. That is my prayer. Before anything else, Miguna must be fine. Yeah, he must be healthy, because human life is very valuable, and Miguna's life is even more valuable because he's now at the forefront of fighting for a better Kenya. We will of course keep you very posted on this unfolding Miguna issue. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.